welcome to the Daily Space Weather. Lots of stuff to cover today. Once again, additional coronal mass ejections have begun to occur. We've been forecasting them here at the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. This track's called You, Me, Us because it's the people that are important in your life, not the things. Here's an important thing. It's the sun. We've got a new sunspot which has been growing and migrating a bit. Some more active regions rising in the east. We'll get to it. First, the colorized magnetogram. This may be our latest sunspot group here. We've got an old region rising. That'll be 2925 when it gets a name. This area right down here. This area here is 2924. And again, it has grown in the past 24 hours. And you'll see that brightening up there. Likelihood of flares goes up a little bit here. And it looks like the 10.7 centimeter radial flux has reached its lows. Here's 304 angstroms, the classic ionized helium viewpoint from the Solar Dynamics Observatory. The radial flux now at 86, so it's reached a bottom, and we're seeing that trending up as solar cycle 25 continues to ramp up in activity. You can see this slight increase here. You can see the lows are getting a little bit higher. There's the latest low at about 84 solar flux units. The radial flux is represented by this black line. The red line is the sunspot number, which is about to come way up from its brief 0 sunspots. No space weather storms forecasted. There are some coronal mass ejections headed Earth's way, or at least to the somewhat local vicinity of planet Earth. And leave us a comment if you're viewing the video from a different planet, solar system, galaxy, plane of existence, etc. Let's go over earthquakes. The largest of the past 24 was this 6.0, located in the Banda Sea there near Indonesia. If you're wondering where Indonesia is located, there it is. It's north of Australia. There was also a 5.1 at an odd location here in the Laptev Sea, south of the Arctic Ocean there, north of Siberia. A very far north Arctic Circle type earthquake. And let's scroll up the list here. Some interesting deep quakes here, like this one at Timor-Leste, nearly 300 kilometers depth. This one here at Vanuatu, nearly 200 kilometers depth. This one at Russia, that's east of Siberia, that at nearly 500 kilometers depth. Here's a quake in India at 145 kilometers depth. So massive number of deep quakes happening here. A 4.8 at Vanuatu, that was also over 100 kilometers estimated depth. Puerto Rico saw a deep quake. Indonesia, the largest quake of the past 24, was deep as well. That would be over a 7 magnitude if that happened at the surface. Let's hope that's not a foreshock, as that could generate tsunamis. It's a known area there around Indonesia for tsunamis. Interestingly, also, this Laptev Sea quake occurred only 1 minute from a 5.1 at Vanuatu. So those two quakes there happening at 0 dark 46. Oh wait, 0 dark 46 and 108. So only about 20 minutes apart there. Those two quakes. Also some quakes in the eastern portion of the U.S. We won't worry about it. They're pretty small. Philippines saw a deep quake as well. It's a legit deep quake event, folks. Lots and lots of deep quakes. Some of them at significant magnitudes. Kamchatka saw a 5.4 just off its east coast as well. Let's look at volcanoes next. On volcanodiscovery.com's Volcanoes Today page. Shivaluch, flight level 130 over Shivaluch, as it explodes. That's located on the Kamchatka Peninsula. Subanosejima, flight level 040. It's a 4,000-foot ash plume over Subanosejima. Don't pole vault the caldera. Semeru, flight level 170, a 17,000-foot ash plume over East Java, Indonesia. Fuego, flight level 145. A 14,500-foot ash plume as Fuego explodes. That's located in Guatemala. Nevado del Ruiz in Colombia, producing a 21,000-foot ash plume as it explodes. Sangay exploding, 22,000-foot ash plume over Ecuador from Sangay. 16,000 foot ash plume over Ecuador from Revenador, the other explosive volcano in the Central American nation of Ecuador. South American nation, rather. Sabancaya, located in Peru, is exploding. Flight level 210. It's a 21,000 foot ash plume. And here's one located on the African continent. Erta Ale, part of the Dankali Depression in Ethiopia, has seen some lava lake collapses. Not sure what caused the eruption, but on New Year's Eve, 2 big collapses were observed, meaning that the lava lake there at Erta Ale got wider. So perhaps an uptick in activity there at Erta Ale. We'll keep you posted. Piton de la Fournaise, located on the island of Réunion, producing some new real estate with an effusive eruption, some lava fountains, and a growing cinder cone. Today's featured product is, you can link it below the video. You can find our merch shop there. It's Universum Liberate. If I could wave my magic wand, I'd set everybody free. Humans yearn to be free, and that has to do with the Galactic Federation Special Forces. If you'd like to join, if you'd like to become a Special Operations Space Head, pick up some Universum Liberate product, and tell your friends and foes about us. Universum Liberate. The motto, the official motto of the Galactic Federation Special Forces. Again, links below the video to that, as well as on our homepage. Welcome to the Neo-Renaissance, smashomash.com. The smAsho merch link will take you to our merch. You can also find a link to the Smash team there. Thanks to our Smash team members, especially gold and silver, and annual gold paid-up subscriptions. You're getting information nobody else gets to see, and I'd like to have a moment of silence here for my granddad. So please join me in this moment of silence. Next goes magnetometer data. Some higher highs and higher lows, at least higher lows showing up here on the GOES 16 and GOES 17 measurements. Let's take a look at the heliospheric current sheet. Earth remains in a South Pole oriented current sheet. As you can see here, shown in red, that plasma is oriented to a pole. Earth is currently in a South Pole plasma sheet. Yeah, the sun, it's emitting plasma right now. And in space, practically everything is plasma. We won't get into it in the space weather video. We're going to look at the coronal hole plot next. This shows the sun's B field in blue. Those are the potential field surface source lines of the field that goes through the magnet. So that's the sun's magnetic field there, as well as coronal holes. You can see some South Pole-oriented ones there, right in the Earth-facing zone there, shown in red as solar cycle 25 progresses. Here's a visual analysis of it in ultraviolet light at 193 angstroms. That's ionized iron, if you're wondering. That's from the SDO, the Solar Dynamics Observatory. Pretty well-defined southern hemisphere South Pole-oriented coronal hole there, just ahead of sunspot 2924. Here's a close-up of that, and you can see it has been migrating north a little bit and growing as this new active region rises here. That's an old sunspot that's gone all the way around the sun, and now it's back. It'll get a new name, sunspot 2925. Here's the analysis. Likelihood of solar flares has gone up quite a bit here with sunspot 2924's appearance. It is certainly beta class, and 2925 is making its rise here in the southeast at beta gamma class, significantly raising the likelihood of solar flares. We haven't decided if our coronal mass ejection warning remains or not. We'll get to it in a minute. Here's the X-ray profile of the closest star. Over the past 3 days, no major flares, not even a C-class flare. Again, likelihood of that goes up. No spikes in the proton flux, no surprises to regular viewers of our channel. Let's go to the real-time solar wind. And here we go. We do have some error suspects happening here. When you see this blue line, that means that it's just the Discover, not the ACE and the Discover. That would make it a pink line. And you see these yellow bars down here. Those are error suspects. So anyway, the current conditions, the best we can tell, is about 5 protons per cubic centimeter for the solar wind density. Quite low here. Solar wind speed 428 kilometers per second. That's a nominal, sort of backgroundish solar wind speed. Fairly low density there, which has brought KP index down to 0. It's a measurement of global geomagnetism. Each bar represents 3 hours, the KP index. And here is the Geospace magnetosphere movie showing pressure, Earth's magnetic moment from space. We'll let it play through as we do daily. And congratulations on realizing that our channel exists. We like to tie data together. There's 4 hours of it. It's a model based on the space weather modeling framework, and thanks to our viewer who left a comment about it yesterday. Here's our other Geospace magnetosphere movie showing not a lot of magnetic perturbations on the ground level. This is Earth's magnetic moment from the ground in nanotesla. Magnetic flux density. And just a quick reminder, if you want to read about the space weather modeling framework, just go to one of the Geospace magnetosphere movies pages. Come down here, click on details, and there will be a link right there to the space weather modeling framework. If you click that link, it'll provide all kinds of other links to tell you how those models are generated. Let's generate a forecast for the next week of what's going on in the solar system. Venus swinging past Earth at the moment, and we've got a crescent waxing moon. Let's do the 1 week forecast. And there's where things will be in a week. We'll have a gibbous waxing. And some great imagery of Venus probably coming out. We won't worry about it too much. If you're up before dawn, you may see Mars rising ahead of the sun. This is our star chart from in-the-sky.org. This is what's going on over our heads right now at Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania. Next, coronal mass ejections. Some more of them occurred. An ultra-slow speed one happened last night, as we've been forecasting, keeping our record at nearly 100% accuracy. We only missed one forecast over the past year, and there were 0 false alarms. So here's an additional coronal mass ejection. You can see right here. Very slow speed. It took all day for it to propagate yesterday. And now it's finally headed somewhat in an earthly direction. It could be another glancing blow. So I'm expecting a third coronal mass ejection here to be somewhat geo-effective to planet Earth. It's pretty diffuse. And you can see most of the ejectas showing up there on the west side, which would be over here. And the LASCO C2 would be located here at Lagrange point 1 in between the Earth and the Sun. Stereo A is at Lagrange point 5. The gravitational equilibrium point that chases Earth orbitally through the solar system and provides some of the best imagery that we have for coronal mass ejections. What we really have on our wish list is an X-ray detector and a new Stereo B to get even better telemetry on coronal mass ejection phenomenon. Anyway, none of those incoming coronal mass ejections are expected to be major strikes. Some of them were a bit stealthy. And let's do a cosmology segment. This one's integrated into the daily space weather video once again. These are the sunrises over Edmonton, Alberta. Now this is facing east, which would put the south off to your right and the north off to your left. And you can see how far south the sun sets. So there's one image of the sunrise every day from Edmonton, Alberta, giving you insight into Earth's axial tilt. As the seasons change, the sun does indeed rise over different portions of the planet. That's the astronomy picture of the day from apod.nasa.gov. Shout out to Luca Vanzella for taking these great sunrise photos from Edmonton, Alberta. Next, we're going to pick a random number, but first, another thing to look at the Neil Gehrels Swift-Bat X-ray Observatory. So today's quote random and quote object is number 880, which is this. I can't remember what it is. Entry number 880 is XTE-J1908 plus 94, a high-mass X-ray binary / black hole candidate, which brought me down a bit of a rabbit hole here. One of the things you may find interesting at the Neil Gehrels Swift-Bat X-ray Observatory on the transients page is a bunch of links at the top. So if you go to the top of this page here, when you scroll down, you'll find some links here. And one of them is the list of black hole candidates. So without getting into whether or not black holes are a thing or not, if you click on that, you will find this list. Another interesting list here at the Neil Gehrels Swift-Bat X-ray Observatory, tracking 76 objects there that are, quote, black hole and, quote, candidates. We'll have to look at that at a later time. Here are the X-ray outputs from XTE-J1908 plus 94. Pretty consistent X-ray source here. You can see how consistent it was over the past 30 days. And let's take a look at this visually. And the first one we'll look at is the Chandra X-ray imagery. Yeah, Chandra imagery is very high resolution. Now you can see this line here. That's the galactic plane. So this one's off the galactic plane a little bit. It's in a bit of an empty part of space there. There is the Chandra X-ray imagery from this X-ray binary. And here's some ultraviolet imagery. Let's zoom in on that. See if we see any structures. There is a roundish structure there nearby, but at the crosshairs, pretty dark in ultraviolet. Here's the DSS colored imagery. We'll zoom in on that. And quite dark there as well. Perhaps a jet or something. Perhaps an artifact. Just barely a little bright blob near that. And here's the view from Pan-STARRS. And again, a pretty dark portion of space there. And we'll close out this section with the 2-mass imagery. This is the infrared light spectrum, and you can see it's a pretty busy part of space there. Pretty hot portion, not far enough off the galactic plane to be anything besides a pretty hot and busy part of space. And when you zoom out, you can see the galactic plane there, that dark region. That's actually absorption features. And when we zoom way in, there is the infrared light profile of that X-ray binary XTE-J1908 plus 094, which is number 880 at the Neil Gehrels Swift-Bat X-ray Observatory. That's today's cosmology segment. Make sure you check our playlists for more. There are over 200 videos in our playlists for cosmology. YouTube.com/smAsho/playlists. Next, we'll look at charging hazards. We don't see any at the moment. Let's take a look at the electron flux. There's the 1-year chart of the relativistic electrons. Those are measured at the F ionosphere layer by the GOES 16 and 17 in their geosynchronous near equatorial orbits. There's the data from the GOES 16 and 17 over the past 3 days. We did reach electron flux warning there for the GOES 17, but not the 16. By the way, these N's and M's mean noon and midnight local time for the satellites. Here's the forecast model. No arguments there in the forecast. The green boxes are the forecast, the yellow diamonds are the observation, and we'll show the total electron content next, showing the electrons in the plasmasphere and the inner Van Allen belt. These are the electrons in between your geosynchronous satellite and your handset, your GPS satellite, and things looking pretty normal here, a little more organized in the total electron content forecast. We'll let it play through again. We've been showing some very anomalous total electron contents in the past about month. They've gone back to a more organized, less chaotic structure here. Next, we're going to show you the F ionosphere layer, the ionogram. The F ionosphere layer located at about 300 kilometers of altitude. Here is the ionogram. courtesy Australian Government Bureau Meteorology. And we see a bunch of low-frequency anomalies in the southern hemisphere. So when we show you the anomalygram, it'll be super obvious. It shows anomalies in red for low-frequency and high-frequency anomalies in blue. And here's the anomalygram, and you can see all these anomalies around the Atlantic Ocean, the southern portion, the Drake Passage, South America, and South Africa especially. Lots of low-frequency anomalies, even some equatorial ones here. Low-frequency anomalies in the ionosphere are part of today's space weather. Anyway, there's the latest image. That's 12 noon Universal Time ionogram, 12 noon Universal Time anomalygram, and it's time for bonus features. Bonus feature number 1 is the ground-based solar observatory at Cerro Tololo, Chile. We do see filaments down here in the southern hemisphere, especially in the southeast. Some filaments up here. We're keeping our coronal mass ejection watch in effect. We've reduced the warning to a watch, as it isn't all that clear as to what will happen next. Perhaps we'll have to make another video later in the day about that. Here's the GO 16 SUVI, and you can see a bunch of prominences there around the rim of the solar disk. Next, the latest intensitygram and latest colorized magnetogram. Sunspot 2924, beta class sunspot. You can see trailing umbrae here of opposite polarity. This one's beta gamma class 2925. And that one up there, I don't think that's worthy of a name yet. Here are the magnetic fields of 2924 and 2925. Most likely locations of solar flares. Just a little bit of activity happening up there in the north. We'll close out this space weather video with the northern and southern hemispheres in 171 angstroms. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Congratulations on realizing the channel exists. Who knew we would make the breakthroughs that we've made on the channel? Getting answers to questions not even asked. In any case, thanks again for tuning in, folks. May that solar wind be at your back. Opinions expressed in this video, not necessarily the opinions of Smash News Network, least busted, name it news.